exactly.
Yeah.
So let's pray that it's going to be fine. Welcome to this live conversation about being a solopreneur and kind of how it went for you and how it went for me. We have kind of a structure that we've discussed just to kind of create some sort of system to the conversation and not let it carry on forever and ever. And I'll try to guide us to that. But basically, first of all, I want to thank you for joining, Sal. Sal is a
Yeah.
Substack writer.
Okay.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. So Sal, if you don't know, Sal Gallagher, she's not only the author of Writers Cafe on Substack, she's an actual real author, published a book. Was it this summer, Sal?
It was last summer, actually, about 12 months ago. You see it? There you go. Secrets in the Lake.
Secrets in the Lake. So a real live author. That's so cool. Congratulations. I feel like when you write a book, you can write and celebrate it for 100 years afterwards because it's such an accomplishment, and having something physical that you've created is amazing. Kind of like a 2D baby, I would say.
Yeah, no, maybe not quite up there, but it definitely is a real high. It's a high in your life. Absolutely. Yeah. And I still look at the book and I think, oh, wow, I did that. So, no, it's good.
So when you published the book, you were still working full time?
I was working 4 days at that stage. I had cut back to 4 days probably 2 years prior because I was kind of moving into freelancing and I wanted to just free up a bit of space so I could start to build it up. Yeah. And I was sick of full-time work.
Yeah. I mean, can't we all relate to that? I don't know. I come from a legal background and I've been working in different IT companies for the past 12 years. And I've been through a burnout episode that kind of shook me up enough to kind of understand what my limits are physically and psychologically, and then wanting to put more structure and more discipline in how much work I give and how much of myself I give at work, which kind of led me to some conclusions that put me on this path. That it's very difficult to create this work-life balance within the context of a corporation that wants, for you to provide as much work, 100% productivity all the time if possible, and things like that. So yeah, we kind of connected on kind of this being the CEO of your own life, moving from having a corporate career that was great and satisfying and so on, but that didn't fit our needs at one point. And I loved our conversation. We said, let's bring it to Substack. Let's bring it to everyone and see if we can inspire people or get questions or see if what your experience has been with moving
Yeah.
to solopreneurship. And the first thing that we wanted to touch upon was the decision process of moving from corporate job, almost full time or full time,
Yeah.
to going on your own. So,
Yeah.
how did it go for you, Sal?
I think mine was probably a long-term decision. And it really started during COVID when I worked from home because I actually enjoyed working from home. And when we couldn't go back, but while I was at home, I sort of started really building up my skill set as far as freelancing and writing, but especially freelancing and how to gain clients and lots of little software packages. Like Canva was one thing I just sat down and taught myself through the different classes I could do. And so I used that time and then I cut back to the 4 days when we had to go back to the office because I didn't want to be in an office 5 days a week anymore. So I cut back to 4. And over time, back to 3 or down to 3 in the beginning of this year. And it still was not enough for me. I just thought, no, it is not me anymore. I was starting to feel like I was turning into this grumpy old woman. you're not satisfied. And when you've got more days at work that you don't enjoy, then you got to do something. And in April, I thought, I'm not even going to last another couple of years because I sort of had in my head another couple of years. But no, I resigned. I gave them the 12 weeks notice and finished up in the beginning of July. And I haven't been more content in life ever. Apart from maybe when I had my babies, you feel euphoric, but
Yeah.
no, it's absolutely the best decision I've ever made.
Can I be a bit of a devil's advocate here and say what you mentioned to me before, that you're in the position in your career where you're towards the autumn of your career, that
Yeah,
you feel like you can make this step into solopreneurship in a much more comfortable, confident way than maybe someone
yeah,
just starting out or mid-career, how I am, and things like
yeah.
that. So if you were to kind of give your honest recommendation to the people listening about thinking the options of going solo,
Mm.
what would you say to them?
Obviously, if you've still got commitments, like in your case, I tried it years ago, going solo as well, in a totally different industry, in the fitness and the massage industry, and it was not the right time because I still had a lot of commitments. I had kids that were teenagers that needed to be provided for. I'm lucky now, as you can say lucky as you get older, but I'm lucky enough now that it's just me. So it's just my needs I need to worry about. And it does give you a sense of freedom. Absolutely. Um, and that's why I thought, why keep going if I don't have to? I just have to make sure that I get enough of an income. And I'm now retired, so I can get a retirement income as well as whatever supplement income I can get from freelancing and from writing and from selling my books. So I know I'm in a fortunate position as far as that's concerned. If I was in your position or somebody else's position where you're really income reliant, like your freelancing is your only income, I would definitely say have 12 months worth of income in your bank account to just
Yeah,
back yourself up, because otherwise it gets too hard. Because then all of a sudden you're not enjoying it anymore. What you thought you were going to enjoy, your
stre-
passion, having to worry about bills, the passion starts to get smaller and smaller. So
yeah, and
you,
stress
you
does
do have
not
to have a backup.
creativity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it'll kill anything you think is wonderful.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
What I learned from what you just mentioned before was also this kind of, you went 4 days working and then you did three, so it was kind of a gradual way of like trying something else. So for anyone
Yeah.
considering, starting something on the side, actually do think of how you can start doing it while you're already in your role. But there's different ways to be in a role. So start of my career, when I felt like I had something to prove and then things to achieve, I would give 175% of my energy and passion to work
Yeah.
until I was thoroughly drained like a raisin. Um, and then towards the last part of my career, while of course the experience kind of compensated for like less effort because I knew what it needed to be done and so on, I decided I'm going to give 80% of my energy to work and I'm going to keep that 20% for my family. And then when I wanted to move into solopreneurship, I decided I need to cut back to 65% of effort to work and then the rest. And that doesn't necessarily mean maybe your job will not allow you to cut down to 4 days of work, and that also
Yeah.
means a reduction in your revenue. But there's a thing about adapting expectations at work, not taking
Mm.
on tasks that are not necessarily for you just because you want to please someone or be seen
Yeah.
as cool or
Yeah.
whatever. Especially for women, that's quite a big trap that we're kind of,
Yeah.
we feel internal
Yeah.
guilt if we don't take on extra work or something. To kind of just really manage your energy and your time to at least make sure that you're not working overtime, you're not spending
Yeah.
more than what you absolutely need to on your work task, do it as efficiently, as as fast as you can, and the rest of the time that can be yours to maybe work on your side hustle, work on your business while you're still making the plan of the job. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've researched for my coaching business for solopreneurs. And most really big entrepreneurs, very big sharks, people from the Shark Tank, actually watching some interviews and podcasts with them, where they say, don't quit your day job. Start
Mm.
while you're already in your job.
Yeah.
Find that there's viability for what you're gonna do. Find that there's a market. Fine tune. Your first business is not gonna work out. You're gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
iterate a little bit, or you're gonna the business works, but because you start doing different things, and then maybe something a bit different again, until you find that market fit that overlaps with your talents and what you want to do and enjoy doing and have
Yeah.
expertise in. And that
Yeah. No,
takes
I
time.
totally agree. Mm.
And that takes time. So, as Sal said, having that cushion of
Yeah.
money that you can rely on to be able to make the jump is really important. Alternatively, if you have a job that kind of traditionally is quite normal to do also as a solopreneur, so lawyer,
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
legal professions have started off as a one person enterprise, and
Exactly.
then with
Exactly.
law firms and things like that started appearing, but that's very, very new in the history of the profession. So for me,
Yeah.
jumping into entrepreneurship wasn't that difficult because it's quite normal to work with a freelance
Yeah.
lawyer.
Yeah.
And there's the same thing, I think, for copywriting that can be freelance quite easily, um, and some other jobs. And then I even asked an not architect. He was also architects can be freelance.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, he was a mechanical engineer, so it seemed very technical, and I felt like you need to
Okay.
be in a company for that. And he's like, no, when you're very technical and you know something in your niche very, very well, you can easily consult and be an
Yeah.
external hired gun for different projects. And a lot of that also in the IT business in terms of product management, anything to do with digitalization. Even developers can be
Yeah.
freelancers
There's
added on project
yeah.
for
There's
specific needs.
umpteen areas you could go into, isn't there? It's just a matter of finding what you're good at or what you want to do, right? If you can combine both, like what you're good at and what you want to do, because it's not always the same. Like I'm really good at spreadsheets, but I don't want to do spreadsheets anymore.
ChatGPT is
So
very good at spreadsheets.
yeah,
Let him do the work.
exactly. Somebody else can do that now. But
No, I
yeah,
totally.
if you can combine both, absolutely, and do it like you're saying, doing it safely. You know, don't jump in before you're kind of ready, or at least you've done half the groundwork, or you've got a pile of money to rely on until
Yeah.
you have done your research.
I mean,
Absolutely.
everyone is free to do whatever they want. So if you want to jump in, not because we say it, but because you feel it. But there's consequences to that. But I want to get back to like the decision, the time when you decided to quit and you had to go and decide or tell the boss about it. But I also wanted to tell this story about myself because it's kind of the starting ground for Me Time, this publication that is
Yeah.
organizing the live. Basically, I realized I was very unhappy with my work, or the fact that I was working in a way that wasn't aligned to what I wanted to do and what interested me. So I went to my to my boss and I said, it's not working out, and I think I just need to not work and have some me time to figure out what I want to do next. And then what I did is I officially my contract ended end of November last year. So we're coming up on the anniversary. And 1st of December, I started Me Time. I incorporated my company, Me Time Consult, where I was working with previous bosses on projects, and
Mhm.
also rebranded my existing Substack account as Me Time Coaching, where I kind of try to guide solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that want to create a business that's safe and risk-free, and what to do using all of the years of experience I had in getting IT companies contracts in place, compliance structures in place, and so on. And basically, it all started with me needing some me time that I've given myself for the past 2 years, trying to recover from burnout and, recovering the time that I was giving to work, going to work events that I didn't need to join from my free time, or thinking about work things in private time that was stressing me out and not giving me enough time to recharge and all things. And that kind of time hygiene and discipline was kind of the breathing ground for me time, as this kind of magical almost way of reclaiming my independence, my time, my decision making over my career and my life. That has led me to where I am today. And when I said to my boss, I need some me time, I need to go, I thought I would be scared shitless. Like, seriously, that was in my head. But when I said it, I felt so much joy and so much freedom. And I didn't care about all of the hardships that would come, because it just felt so right. And I want anyone watching this video at any point in time to really, when you make the decision, are you going to feel that type of joy and liberation, or are you going to feel scared shitless? Because that's a really good indication if this is a decision that you want to stay on,
Yeah.
or maybe you need to have a safer path towards whatever your future may take. But what about you, Sal? How was it letting go?
Uh, it was not hard. I made a decision, but I sort of thought I made a decision over a weekend. And then I said to myself, don't be hasty. Give yourself 2 weeks to think about it. And then I rocked up at work on the Monday morning and I thought, no, I'm just going to rip the band-aid off. And I called my boss into a meeting, and I know her really well. I've worked with her for years. So I was not scared of telling her, because we'd spoken about the potential of either of us leaving at one stage. So it was not going to go, it wasn't going to come as a shock. I knew that. So I just said to her, listen, I have decided I'm going to have to leave. I've had enough of this place. And, uh, and she said, I totally get you. And she sort of knew, I think she knew that it was going to come one day. She was hoping it would be, down the track. But I walked out of the meeting, and like you, I just felt this immense happiness and joy and excitement. And the whole day I was just on this high. And I remember saying exactly the same thing to my daughter. I said, I just feel amazing. And she said, Mum, that's a sign it was the right decision. And I know it was. And I have not had any moments where I regretted it. Yeah, afterwards there have been moments where I thought, ooh, what am I gonna do now? But I've kind of just really gotten myself into this. I'm just open to whatever. Just bring it to me, universe. And it really has. It really has brought it. It from the first week, it has come in with different opportunities, Substack, outside of Substack, and it just keeps coming. And yeah,
Can we talk
I
about
have not regretted.
Sal? Can we talk a little bit about opening space for opportunities? Because I feel like this is, I don't want it to sound woo. I don't want it to sound like this kind of astrological, I don't know, metaphysical stuff. Because I'm a lawyer. You come from a very professional background where, like, women was
I'm
like,
also I'm also spiritual, so
yeah. There is spirituality in it. Not just that, but it's more like physically. If your time is all tied up in all kinds of obligation, and what you hear yourself saying is you're busy, 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 busy all the time, that means
yeah,
there's no room in your room for any type of
no,
novelty, new things. And even if they come to you, you're not even going to listen to them, because your brain is like too busy handling all the busyness. So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit your experience with kind of opening up time and space for new things to come your way?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember what came first, but I do believe there was the Aussie author's baking book came through as soon as virtually within weeks of me opening up or saying I've resigned. I've had outside, I've just recently been approached by a library, a local library, to be an interviewer for their author interviews for certain genres, not across everybody, obviously. Um, I've had this event that I just did yesterday, and I've got people through Substack wanting to collaborate. And I'm just sort of thinking, where's this all coming from? Because I was ready beforehand in my head. I thought I was, but until I had said, okay, I'm now free, it wasn't really coming to me as much as it's coming now. Now it just seems like there's something new every week. And I'm having heaps of feedback, good feedback on my short stories that are coming through. And the other day, I think it was last week, I became 28 in rising fiction. So there's just so many nice things that are coming out of it. So yeah,
I'm so
thank
happy
you.
for you. I'm so happy for
Yeah,
you. And it really goes to show that, trusting your gut instinct and your mind and making a full body decision about your life
yeah,
really pays off. And maybe not in ways you imagine directly, because maybe you didn't imagine, being invited by the library to be one of their interviewers or anything like that.
no, not at all.
But
Yeah,
it brings stuff because now you're open to it. And now that you also have the time to maybe reach out to people and say hello and,
yeah,
and, and have conversations that otherwise you had to be in working on Excel
yeah,
for
yeah.
you didn't have time to like
Oh,
talk to
please, you're
people
triggering
organizing
me.
events. Exactly. So it makes sense from all kinds of point of view, but even from a very practical point of view of if
Yeah,
you give more freedom, if you find more
yeah.
time to reclaim from the job, from, maybe there's people that are very uh like my mom, for example, she was very much into housekeeping where she had to iron the sheets, the clean sheets, so they would be perfectly folded and perfumed and stuff. Do you know how many hours that takes out of your day to have that type of
Oh,
housekeeping?
I, I've got my mum to do that, but I'm not doing that.
No,
I am
yeah,
as little as I can.
exactly. So it's a choice about how you spend your time because you can still have, clean laundry and well dressed kids and so on, but they don't need to be looking like dolls from an exhibition. In
No.
your house like this spotless museum place and reclaim that time to use it properly, and that doesn't mean scrolling on a Substack or other other things, but working on your plan, on your dream, on your mission, on your book, on
Yeah,
creating real connections, make creating real
yeah.
value, helping people. And that's kind of the beauty of what I think, creating space is one step, but you also need
Mm,
to have intention about what do you want to let into that space.
yeah,
Because many people, lose their job or quit their job and then they're like just kind of floating, wasting time, being like, where did the day go? And that's to me a symptom of you not having a goal or some task that you want to work on every day. So you're building on something. It might not be
yeah,
the thing that you're going to end up ultimately doing, but it's going to be enough for you to attract different things. Do you spend an
yeah,
hour, you know, thinking about your career and what you want and trying to brainstorm who could I reach out to, what could I read, what could I learn to get there, or do you spend it scrolling mindlessly?
yeah, yeah. You have to maintain some sort of structure each day. You can't just sort of say, okay, I've got the whole week now. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm just going to wake up when I feel like it, do whatever. You have to have some sort of a structure. Maybe Monday you have certain things you do. Like Monday for me is easing into it. I usually do my beach run first thing. I come back and do my yoga, and then I'll do a few laps in the pool where I'm staying now. And then I have breakfast, And by 10:30, that's when I start doing my admin. I call it my admin Monday. And I get through, the things that we have to do. I think about the week, what else I need to do during the week. But then each day I kind of have certain things that I want to do. So you've seen my Monday motivational, the Born to Shine cards that come up. The Sunday I call out the word for the week for me to write a short story. Tuesday I usually do some sort of social on secrets in the lakes. And each day has kind of got its own little prompt for me to just hang on to, so I know that, oh, today's Monday, I've got to do this. This is Tuesday, because that way you've got that structure during the week. And you don't
Yeah.
just end up at the end of the week having done nothing really but gone for a
Yeah.
walk or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
And as a solopreneur, especially if on top of writing, like I do, I also have my consultancy and coaching. So a lot of different things. And I also want to be a very present mom to my daughter. So
Yeah.
I basically have like 5 hours to work with every day. I need to walk the dog and so on, like busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
But I am very adamant about having those 5 hours where I sit and do my work. And what I do,
Yeah.
because you can realize that things can all these opportunities coming in, all of the noise from Substack. You need to post I don't know how many things a day and how many things a week and all that. All this noise can really make it seem like you have so much to do and no time to do it. So what I use as one of the techniques to really stay focused on what's really important is to have the most important thing that I want to accomplish that day. So that's what I'm thinking about, either the evening before or the morning when I start working, and maybe two secondary things that I want to work on, max 3 things that I want to achieve that day. But that if I achieve the first one, it's a successful day, and if I achieve all three, it's like I have run it out of the park.
Perfect day.
Exactly. And that really quiets down all of the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and things. And like, oh, I didn't answer this person and I didn't comment thank you to that other person and things like that, which are secondary. Of course, it's always lovely to be very present and comment to everyone and be present, but it's not important in terms of running your business and the enterprise of your life
Yeah.
and of your Substack, of your business, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of also taking us to the part of the conversation where we talk about, the reality of being a solopreneur and what does that entail, the difficult things, the easy things. And I want to open up with the first thing that I realized when I started being on my own was that I could be the worst boss I ever had or the best boss I ever had. Because being the CEO of your own life and Substack and business means that you can put a lot of pressure on yourself to achieve a lot of things, to whatever, and that can be really tough. There's plenty of people going out on their own and soon after burning out because of all the pressure they put on themselves. How do you deal with this kind of challenge?
Yeah. Yeah. I know how to have my work life balance sort of reasonably right. But I'm also a person that really likes to challenge myself. So I will put the pressure on myself, but I enjoy that. So it doesn't feel stressful. If it gets to a stage where it's stressful, I get on my mat and I do some yoga or I'll go for a swim or I'll go out and go for a walk or run. And me moving my body just really helps me de-stress. And it just helps me feel much better. And you come back being able to focus on what's really important. Because like you're saying, it's really, really easy to get in that mode of, oh, I've got all these things I've got to do. Oh, I've only done half of them. Oh, what am I going to do? And panic. And there's no point. Like you're saying, pick your battles, pick what's really important and get through that first. And if you don't, who's the boss? Huh?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, who's the boss? So you just get them done when you can. And if you need to take time out, you, you just take time out. You don't want to burn out. That's not why
Mhm.
we go into business for ourselves. It's not to burn out. It's actually to enjoy life and to achieve things that we want to achieve within the business.
So, what I've learned on this exact topic about burning yourself out
Mhm.
was something from the businessman called Kevin O'Leary, and he's part of Shark Tank, the US
Okay. Yeah.
investment kind of business. And he has a lot of different businesses that he's running and basically a lifelong entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He was talking about noise versus signal, and that as a CEO of any type of company, one person, a million persons, you need to really focus on signal. And signal is those important things that if they don't happen, your business either doesn't grow or it fails.
Mm.
The things that
Yeah.
really move the needle. If we think of Pomodoro of 20, 80, 20, the 20% key stuff that actually moves the needle, makes the money, creates the product, as opposed to 80% all of the noise, all of the other things that you do that you think
Yeah.
are important, but they aren't. And what Kevin O'Leary said would um, basically predict if you're going to be successful or not is how good you are at separating noise from signal. That's
Mm,
something a
mm,
lot of good coaches do, helping you kind of focus on what's noise and what's signal. And just to give an example, like from Substack world, spending hours and hours fine tuning your designs of your
yeah.
visual appearance of your account of your whatever you put out is
Yeah.
noise. The substance of what you write there sometimes can be noise if it's notes and you think, oh, notes are so important to do those 3 notes a day, and you're spending hours trying to
Mm,
find inspiration for it, or getting a tool to create it for you, or AI or whatever. That's noise.
yeah.
You need to think
Yeah.
about is what are the things that I provide in my Substack, in my business, that really build value. Short stories that
Mm,
get published and having
yeah.
press and publicity much higher on kind of
Yeah.
the ranking of tasks than notes for Substack, or even
Yeah.
promoting your latest newsletter on Substack. That is something that's important to a certain extent, but not as
Yeah.
important as writing your next book, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of those type of decisions that we need to be really fierce about to make sure that our success continues and that we move in
Mm,
the right direction. And as you said
yeah.
before, also taking those breaks where you move your body, where you disconnect from technology and everything, and you let, time and space kind of put in the inspiration, have you give you kind of a low pressure environment where you can kind of
Yeah.
think about things and really kind of let the pressure ease off so you can actually make good decisions in
Yeah.
without
Absolutely.
pressure of it. And I think it's impossible to do it without going for a walk in nature, or a swim, or doing a game, talking to a friend,
Yeah.
doing things that have nothing to do with it. Anyone that sits at a desk and forces wills themselves
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
find the best solution will meet that what's it called, the writer's block or whatever, because you
Yeah.
block the flow of ideas, decisions, and things
Yeah.
by forcing
Yeah. I
your
actually wrote.
will.
Yeah. I actually wrote a post quite a few months ago about the flow of creativity or something. I can't remember the title of it, but it was basically about how we block creativity and how we can make it flow again by flowing our bodies, as in moving our bodies. And quite often I find that when I'm out there, whether I'm swimming or running or walking or even on the mat sometimes, thought will come about my writing, and that it just comes out of nowhere. And that's because you're moving and you're not sitting in front of a screen and forcing something out. You're just letting your body relax and your mind relax, and then it starts to come because it's there. You just need to get it out. Yeah. So absolutely, you need to find ways to unblock. your creativity. And I find moving is the best way.
From a neuroscience perspective, there's a book I read from Dr. Mitu Storoni. I think I'm butchering her name.
Mm.
But basically, she speaks about us living in different gears in terms of our mind, kind of the intensity of our concentration. And gear one is where you're kind of very relaxed, like almost in a sleep like dreamlike state where basically you just unwind and you kind of rest and recharge. Then there's gear
Mm.
two where you're more alert, but you're also relaxed. So that can be when you walk, when you are on a bus,
Yeah.
when you are kind of doing something that doesn't require a lot of focus and attention. And in
Yeah.
that type of gear, your subconscious thoughts, your things from your body pop up to the surface and help you make decisions. That's why when you're taking a long shower, you're getting a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas popping
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
kind of in this gear two state where you're very much kind of in a flow like things where nothing is super stuck to you, but ideas of things
Yeah.
that you're working on or hoping for at work kind of are there together with like smelling the soap and feeling the
We, we,
water and
we need a waterproof notepad in the shower.
yeah, something like that. um and basically, hopping out, writing your idea, hopping back in if
Yeah.
you feel like it's gonna fly away. So that's gear two. And gear three is when you're super focused, and that's when you deliver things, but it's also the least creative of the gears that our brains can be in, which means you're gonna
Yeah.
solve very technical things very well, but you're not going to be able to think creatively, to think in a multitude of different from a multitude of different angles. And that's why it's so important for a person, not necessarily a solopreneur,
Mm.
to make sure that in their day they have all three gears and
Mm.
alternating between them to get stuff done, but also to kind of step back and make sure that
Yeah.
their decisions are aligned with kind of more angles than you can think of when you're like, I need to get this done.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
this is the only thing that needs to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of, we talked about opening the space. We talked a little bit about the reality of solopreneurship, not a lot, but I think you can all imagine it's about being a good business administrator, making sure you have your invoices in place,
Yeah.
you have your accountant, or figure out how to do it on your own if you're so lucky.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Also deciding, do I want to pay money for an accountant and free up that time to do the things that I really want to do,
Yeah.
or do I want to do it myself? That's also a business decision that you can kind
Yeah.
of stay on. And basically, the very big thing about finding customers, clients, uh,
Mm.
marketing your business, your book, your publication, and understanding how that works, but doing it in a way that's authentic also to you,
Yeah.
your energy, and what you want to get out of it. So, on this kind of specific topic of marketing, do you have anything that you've learned in the past months that you're like, this is really important for me? I think it's really useful.
Yeah. I think I learned before I even finished up my day job, I learned that once you publish a book, there's so much more marketing to do than I expected. And I know a lot of writers are saying the same thing. They had no idea how much marketing you actually have to do afterwards. You can't just get straight into writing your book and think you can just sit there for another 7 or 8 hours every day and write. Um, Luckily, I kind of enjoy that part as well, so I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, you have to get out there and you have to either go and do talks, like I did a talk yesterday, or you have to go out and approach book clubs or approach podcasters, and that's how you get your name and your book out there. Bookstores, as an independent, self-published author, it's tricky. It's really hard. I did a lot of walking around and just walking in and chatting to bookstores, and I managed to get into a couple of bookstores. But for the amount of hours I put into it, I don't know if I'd do that again. Yeah, I'd probably just pick a couple of the good ones and then say, yeah, leave that one. Just go
Yeah.
through, the online digital platforms. So you learn as you go along, but you definitely have to sit down and learn how to market or get somebody else to do it. But then you're cutting back a lot of your profits. So
Yeah, yeah. So
either way,
it's a choice, right?
yeah,
About you give your time or you give your money.
yeah,
That be a choice, that one of the tough choices as a solopreneur that you're going to be faced with on a day-to-day basis. Do you give your time and do you give your money? And they're both finite. But maybe you don't get more time in life, like it's kind of a resource that always gets
yeah,
less of it, whilst money you could always make some more, hopefully.
yeah.
That's what we're I mean, one of the things that I want to maybe talk about in terms of reality is kind of the guilt or the feelings that we feel in terms of actually making a living out of being a solopreneur, offering a service, providing something that people need, selling, which to many people feels like a dirty word. And there's a lot of like feelings related to it. I'm still struggling with it from time to time.
Yeah.
And how have you kind of dealt with that in terms of making your peace with the fact that you kind of need to sell yourself and your products?
Yeah. I don't think I really had too hard a deal with it because I mean I come from years ago. I was in the sales industry, so I have been selling things. Um, I like chatting to people. So and I think selling is really connecting with other humans, and that part is really enjoyable. And you don't have to necessarily sell anything. You just connect with somebody and you start talking and it comes out naturally. And if they have a need, you can talk them into having a need. Um, that's where the selling comes in. But I think if you sort of try and not sort of go out thinking you've just got to sell this product to somebody, but go out there and just connect with people. Go out and network. Because not only do you potentially sell what you want to sell, like in my case, my book or my freelance work or my consultancy, or but you're actually also out there connecting with people and you're learning at the same time because whoever you talk to, quite often you will learn from them as well. So it's a two-way street, and it's just
Yeah.
nice to connect with other people. Mm.
I think that's what marketing is actually at the essence of it is finding a way to connect to the people that could benefit from what we have to offer. And when you find that match,
Yeah,
selling flows. It either happens or it doesn't.
yeah,
People have budgets that they need to think of and things like that. And what is our job as a solopreneur, as a business person, is to make sure that the message of what we have to offer is out there for the people that could benefit from it, clear enough,
yeah,
tidy enough, that the products that we offer have good quality, that we listen to our clients, to the readers, to everyone, and take in whatever feedback that they give us, and we internalize whatever we feel is really relevant for us in the next step in our career. But it's kind of, it flows when you know where your energy should flow. When you know the people you're
yeah,
writing for or the clients that you're seeking to connect with, then sales doesn't even feel like sales. It's just
no,
natural.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I also think it flows if you're proud of what you're selling. You know, it's
Yeah.
different to sell. It's different to sell something you're not really behind
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, so that makes it
So
easier as
my
well.
last role was a sales role, more than I thought it was when I started.
Yeah,
I thought it was more like content creation and moderation of a community, but it was also a lot of sales. And the
yeah,
problem I had with the sales part was not the selling itself, but all of the rigid kind of goals that you have to have when you're doing IT sales in a software. Like you need to hit this goal, you need to have this amount of deals, you need to move these deals to I don't
yeah,
know stage and all that stuff that
yeah,
basically doesn't account for what that company actually needs. Are they a good fit? Because you actually
yeah,
should say no to clients that are not a good
Yeah.
fit. And if you keep them in your
Yeah.
pipeline and you drag them along in your thing, that's time you're wasting trying to keep them warm, trying to create that connection with them when you know at the end of the day they're not going to buy anything from you.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
different. It's different selling for another company because they'll always give you the high KPIs that make it hard to say, no, this client does not fit what we have.
yeah,
Because the KPIs are there to keep pushing you, right?
yeah,
But when you're boss of your own, you can set the KPIs to only sell to people who actually benefit from it. So
yeah. And
that's
I think
your
there's also, yeah, and I think there's also something about you deciding who your ideal customer is or ideal reader and things like that, and really sticking to it because there's plenty of people in the world, then actually, being so wide open that everyone can benefit for what you offer, because that's not the case. Like for me, what I want to
yeah,
focus on, because I'm interested in, is helping solopreneurs and startup founders to get their contracts in place, their compliance in place, so they can grow their business and feel safe and good about it. Like
yeah,
if they're going to have an investment round, nobody is going to find any skeletons in the closet kind of thing. And that gives me a lot of because you're working with real people that are putting their kind of life and their talents on the stake to create this little company, and it really motivates me. It really helps me, and that's what I want to
yeah,
focus on. So if a huge company
yeah,
comes to me and like, do you want to be the head of legal of my company, and I know what that comes with, all of the pressure, all of the nights,
yeah,
all of the availability, working across time zones and stuff like that, I know I'm gonna say no to that because
yeah,
that's not fitting. And having that kind of hygiene of you as a CEO, as a solopreneur, to say this is not my crowd is so
mm,
important to ensure that these the selling part kind of starts flowing easily at one point, because you're
yeah,
in the right circles, connecting to the right people that reflect kind of the needs that you're trying to fill with whatever
yeah,
you.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally
I
agree.
think we did we talk that we're gonna speak about our stuff for like half an hour because we wanted to be brief, Sal.
Oh, well, knowing you and I, have we ever been brief?
Famous last words. Now we're gonna be super brief about it. But we talked about the reality of being solopreneurs, and everything is recorded. So whoever subscribes to Sal's publication or my publication will get a copy of this conversation to watch it from the beginning. So Kyla and Diamantino, you can like basically go back and see what you missed until now. But we wanted to end with the big question. If you were to make the decision again of going solo, would you do it again, Sal?
150%. Absolutely. Absolutely. As I said early on, I have not been this content. I'm not saying happy because happy is different. Content is just within myself. I have not been this content for a long time. And I'm just really enjoying life at the moment. And I'm enjoying what's coming and I'm enjoying what may come as well, even before it comes, because I just feel like it's really good at the moment. I'm happy.
It feels like
Happy
you're
I'm
in the
just
right place and doing the right things, I guess.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
150%. Mm.
So I'm coming up to the anniversary, 1 year anniversary of starting on my own. A bit by decided by me, a bit decided by fate, because when I quit my job, I didn't have a plan to start a business, but I reached out to a person that is normally my recommendation if I start looking for jobs. And I let them know, they're also a friend, but also a previous boss. And I let them know that I quit my job, and he might need to be my recommendation at some point in the future. And he's like, no, you need to start your own company. I need your help, but I don't want to hire anyone full time. I have a 4-person company, so we're not at that stage to get a full time lawyer. But you can be our lawyer. You can start consulting for us. And I was like, okay. So that's how I started consulting. It wasn't like a huge plan. I made that space cell that we were talking about. I just kind of let go of the job and let the universe
Yeah.
flow things in towards me. And that's kind of proof is in the pudding. When you make room, things are going to come your way. So for sure, I would do it again. It's been the best year of my life. My health hasn't been healthier. my
Yeah,
my
absolutely. Yeah.
my mood hasn't been better. I felt so free, so fulfilled. I've done a lot of different things. I don't feel alone and kind of isolated at home. I've been able to be involved in things in my community to make sure that I'm a full person, also having social needs met by
Yeah.
being parts of
Yeah.
different clubs and meeting with my friends and giving my daughter enough
Yeah.
time and play dates and stuff like that. So I have no regrets about what I've done. Would do it again.
Mm.
And all the thoughts. At one point, I also oh, well, I'm pregnant right now. That would have not happened if I was in a job, and that's just because I wasn't taking care of my health, and I had some kind of uh, indicators, health indicators that would say that unlikely I would be able to have kids. But having had time now to kind of go
Yeah.
to the doctors and take the pills on time and all that allowed me to improve my
Yeah.
health in a matter of months and get pregnant and run my business.
Yes.
And it's all because I took back the time and the energy that I was and the power I was getting giving other people over my life, and I took it all back and I said it's my turn now. I'm going to
Yeah.
decide. And I think being in a job or not, you can still have that attitude about I
Yeah.
decide my next step in my career is. If you want to be a director and there's three people for the job and they choose someone else, that doesn't mean you cannot be a director. You can be a director somewhere else. You
Yeah.
always have a choice. That's why we say
Yeah.
you are the CEO of your own life.
Yeah.
What your career, your boss, your job situation is at the moment is just part of it, part of the picture. You have the power. You are the most important person in your life. You're the main character of the novel of your life.
Yeah.
And when you act
Yeah.
like life turns in your direction because you decide and you push towards what you want to achieve. If you kind of just
Yeah.
wait for companies to promote you and give you more money, that's not going to happen
Yeah.
unless you fight for it. And the same with
I
anything.
think, yeah. Yeah, I think I totally agree. And I also think when you make that decision and you actually move into doing what you want to do, it's super empowering. And feeling empowered as a person just gives you another dimension of confidence, if you want to call it that, and joy in life. And I think all of that combined, because you're stepping outside your comfort zone a little bit when you're doing it because you're thinking, oh, I haven't got my security net. But doing that, or actually stepping outside your comfort zone, again, it gives you that feeling of power of being able to do whatever, do anything. And that's a nice feeling. And it kind of just sort of, it's like a ball rolling. It just generates more and more joy within you. So,
Exactly. And I love the ball rolling because that talks about momentum and about keeping
mm,
things going, moving in that direction. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be things you won't be able to surpass, but you can avoid or you can change a bit direction. So it's not about it's going to be perfect and everything will work out 100%. It might work out, but not in the way you thought. Like, I started thinking I'm gonna be a success on Substack. That has not happened. But actually, my consultancy that I wasn't planning to have has been a huge success, and I've been working quarter of the time I was working full time and making the same amount of money, which is a huge gain in terms of free time and things that I
yeah,
can do towards myself, towards my family, towards my well-being,
yeah,
doing sports, traveling. And that kind of success I could have never imagined. And
yeah,
and that's the reason why I was kind of during the summer I was like, I want another me time year. I don't want it to end in this. I don't want it to end in December, and I guess that's the answer. I would definitely do it again, and I
Okay.
definitely would recommend anyone that's feeling stuck in their
Yeah.
life now, especially career, to dare small changes. I'm not saying quit your job right now.
Yeah.
Take
No, absolutely.
responsible decisions, but start taking small steps. Can you step down to 5 days, to 4 days a week? Can you, give work 80% of your energy so you can have those 20% to think about your solopreneurship, write your newsletter,
Yeah.
to think about your business that you want to build and start little by little building it. Those are things and shifts
Yeah.
you can do. And if you want to be inspired about kind of what we did, our decision process and everything, you can watch this from the beginning in the in the recording that's going to come out later today. Sal, do you have any parting words, or do you want to tell us a bit more about your publication so the people joining, watching live, or the recordings can know what they can find in Writers Cafe, anything
I
else you're doing?
obviously I've got the Writers Cafe, which is my publication on Substack, and I write a monthly newsletter with updates on what the previous month has been like for me. I write a short fiction story every week, which is a collaboration with the Substack readers. So I call out for a word, and readers will give me a word, and I write a story around that, and that gets uploaded every Friday, just in time for a weekend read. And obviously, yeah, I have published my debut book, which is Secrets in the Lakes. That was published almost a year ago. And I also had a short story collection come out in June, which is an ebook. And hopefully, once I've got enough short stories from this collaboration on Substack, I will do another ebook. Got another non-fiction book coming out next year, hopefully, and a fiction book later in the year. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot
Wow.
going on.
So we need to
Yeah.
keep our eyes peeled on Sal's publication to be updated with what's happening. Is Secrets on the Lake? Is it a novel?
Yes, it is. It's a romance suspense set in California. It's a small town romance mystery.
Ooh.
Yes,
And there's a secret there, or
it's really.
several secrets.
There's quite a few secrets. Yeah, there's
Ooh,
even somebody passing away, and yes, so it's got everything.
super intriguing. Did you have to do a lot of on location traveling to write set in California?
Of course, I always have my locations in great spots. I had this one set. I had this one set outside of San Francisco. My daughter lived there for 5 years, so it was easy to go and check out the area. And of
Yeah.
course, I wanted to. My next novel is set in Denmark, so I've had a few trips back to Denmark. It's set in
Exactly.
Thy, which you would know where that is.
In where?
Thy, in
I
Thy,
that is.
Thy in Jutland,
Okay.
northwest Jutland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just full disclosure, Sal, because I'm not Danish. I live in
Oh, I
Denmark.
know,
I'm
but
not
you live
Danish.
in
So
Denmark, so
I only know Copenhagen and Aarhus and Odense and the big towns, but the rest I haven't been to. I don't know much.
well, you actually should go to Thy because it's quite a remote area of Denmark. It's different to the rest of Denmark, so it's worth a trip. Go there.
Summer or now or whenever.
Um, no, I'd probably go when it's warmer. Maybe don't go now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great place for hiking, but yeah.
Oh, awesome. I love nature. Thank you so much for today, Sal. Thank you for chatting with me, with us. We didn't do the questions part, but we've been here for more than an hour, so I feel like
Oh
it's fair
gosh,
enough.
it's getting close to my bedtime. You've kept me up.
I'm so I'm so sorry. I recommend chamomile tea, and all your dreams will come to you and put you to sleep. Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
today and for
Thank you so much.
opening up about your kind of transition into being a solopreneur. It's been an inspiring and a pleasure to talk to you. And if you
Yeah,
guys
you
have
too.
questions, you can put in the comments to the recordings and me and Sal will answer.
Thank
And
you.
oh, I need to
Okay.
thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day. I'm gonna do the press the end button thing.
Okay.
Here we are.
Thank you.